Hello, Great Nate here. Today, my video is going to be about my MUN S.S.T.O. This S.S.T.O. is very efficient because it has this nuclear engine in it. The thing about these nuclear engines in Kerbal Space Program is that they accelerate very, very slowly, but they're very efficient, and they can only run on liquid fuel. The thing about this is they don't need oxidizer. So it makes the vehicle even more efficient because it can pack more fuel without having to waste space for oxidizer. So it's 100% fuel. So I have jet engines on this craft that will be used today. They are air-breathing engines, like jet engines, but they're rocket engines at the same time. So whenever you get higher up in the atmosphere, it will change modes and it will breathe oxidizer. So it's both a rocket engine and a jet engine. So as we are climbing, I'll explain what we're doing in this mission today. Today we're going to the moon, but today is a special day for the moon because it is a corn moon, which is where it's red because the Earth is blocking the sun to the moon. So it ends up looking red because it's not getting full light from the sun. So we're going really, really fast through the atmosphere, and I start pitching up. I deploy my drop tanks for even more efficiency, and then I deploy the nuclear engine, which is a pretty purple, pinkish purple color. Now that I have an encounter to the moon, I start the burn, and also, you can also see this weird graphical glitch happening. Whoops. I might have to reinstall the mod that I have. So, once we get to the moon, when we get close to it, you can notice how red it gets. It's not red right now because the sun hasn't moved fully into position. The Earth is moved into position because it'll be blocking the sun. Now that I do this burn, it will help move our orbit to where we don't crash into the planet. And my next burn is just to slow us down and to get us going towards the planet. Now you can see the full effect of this red moon. It even has an effect on the craft. I think it's very pretty. You can also see me pointing out the planets because for some reason you can't see the stars right now, but you can only see the planets. So you can see Jewel and Dunna. Jewel's like Jupiter and Dunna's like Mars. You could also probably see Eve, which is where I'm going to try to go next in our series. And you can see how slowly this engine accelerates. So I start by making a maneuver node that will get us inside the crater. we get inside this double crater, which is very important because the outer ring of it's very soft. It isn't a very sharp slope, and you'll see why this is important later. So I start my landing burn, and I didn't think that my engine's thrust-to-weight ratio would be able to make us go to a complete stop, but it actually did. You still see that the corn moon's effect is still there. Now, since the solar system is 10 times smaller than it is in real life, things move a bit faster. Like the kerbin moves faster than Earth does, so this corn moon only lasts a few hours. It's already been going for like 3 hours, so you can see that around whenever I take off, it goes away, and I'll show a clip of it moving across the moon. So I get myself into position for the takeoff burn, and then I stop. I have to adjust the landing gear because it was acting weird. So we go on an extravehicular activity, or an EVA, which is what it's officially called, or just a spacewalk. So I go and plant the flag, and if you notice, this is a woman Kermit. She is the first woman to fly on an S.S.T.O. to an extraterrestrial planet or moon. So we heroically plant the flag, like we always do. And I named the site the first Mon S.S.T.O. because this is actually one of the first S.S.T.O.s I've ever built that went this far. And from now on, I'm going to start building them like this design. This is actually my first design with an inverted wing. Inverted wings are very special because I think they prevent you from stalling. They're just different. They're going towards the way you're flying, not swept back, but the lift, it's still going forward instead of making it lift down. Because if you just put like a regular wing that was facing backwards and just put it upside down, it's actually going to make the craft have downforce, which is not good. Which means it's going to go towards the ground and not towards the air. So I get back in the craft, and I'm going to show a clip in a few seconds. I was getting for my thumbnail shot, my screenshot for my thumbnail, and right as I was taking it, it converted back to the regular moon's light, and you could see the most graceful attempts to get inside the vehicle. I've never seen such gracefulness in my life. It's like an angel coming down from the heavens. So here's the clip of before it turns. So here is it moving. That's the Earth's, or kerbin's, shadow. So it gets dark, and all around it, it's red. And this is in real time. You can see how fast it's moving. So eventually I time warp to where it turns white, to where the sun's completely shining on the moon. Now you can see that it's completely white, just like the moon is supposed to be, or gray. So I get back in the craft again after taking my thumbnail shot, and I take off. Now you can see why this slope was important. Because there's no wind, I cannot control my craft. Since there's no atmosphere, I can't control my craft at all. I can't lift it off the ground like the front wheels, and it actually gets lift and lifts off, so I have to have something to push me up, where the engine can have its thrust push me up into the air. So you see, I don't have a lot of delta V left, so I got an encounter with the mun to make my orbit very small. So you can see me going towards the mun, and I shoot off. It actually slows me down quite a lot. So then I thrust backwards, and I get a re-entry. So once I get my re-entry approach, I aero brake into the atmosphere. Now I notice that I'm going way too fast to do this, but it's already too late. You can tell because my game lagged that I entered the atmosphere right now, because it usually lags when I enter the atmosphere, and it's just something it does, I guess. So we're valiantly entering the atmosphere, and maybe we shouldn't have been so courageous, because this has entered a death sentence to S.S.T.O. kerbin. Because I have no yaw on my, I don't have a vertical stabilizer on my aircraft, which is the one that goes up on the back of an airplane. I cannot control my yaw, so it just goes out of control, and there's nothing I can do to stop it. Eventually I get somewhat stable after this bit of tumbling. See, I get stable, so I turn around and see I have no vertical stabilizer, it just goes out of control. The air just pushes my craft around like this. I eventually regain control like this, but again, my attempts were futile. It eventually goes out of control, right after I press the brake button. And I was getting very close to the ground, and this is very risky, and I probably should have ejected, because I already knew that this was probably going to go out of control like it does. So because I'm so close to the ground, I eject and deploy my chute. And unfortunately, I was not able to save the craft. S.S.T.O. kerbin is very curious about this cactus and gets a bit too close. And she bounces off of it and crashes. And luckily she's still alive. She wonders why the cactus looks a bit like her. So that was one successful mission done. But in the end, our biggest mistake was something that could have been fixed in 2 seconds. So I'll go into the space plane hangar, and you can see what a vertical stabilizer is, and how easy this mistake could have cost the lives of my Kerbal. All I had to do was put 2 vertical stabilizers, just like that, and I could have landed successfully into the desert.